Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Lisa Richardson.
And I'm Annalisa Idkor, and you are joining us today in the exquisite environment of Spring Island.
Joining us today is our first guest, Mr. Joel Newman. He is the principal architect of Thomas & Denzinger.
And then we'll be talking to Will Court of Court Atkins Group.
And our third guest is Mr. John Strother. He's the broker in charge here at Spring Island. So stick around for another episode of 843 TV,
where communities come to speak.
(843 TV), where Bluffton comes to speak,
where Spring Island comes to speak,
where Hilton Head Island comes to speak,
where Beaufort comes to speak.
(843 TV),
where communities come to speak.
Welcome to 843 TV. Please join me in welcoming Joel Newman, principal architect for Thomas & Denzinger. Joel, can you tell us a little bit first about Thomas & Denzinger?
Sure. We're an office architectural firm in Beaufort and also up in Charleston. We've been around for about 44 years. And there's about 4 partners total, and we do work in the low country, mainly in residential communities and kind of the amenity structures, clubhouses and the support structures of these developments.
Joel, you've been designing homes here for a while. Now, besides it being absolutely exquisite place to do that, what draws you to this area to design homes?
In particular, it's a kind of an unspoiled environment here. There's a beautiful landscape, obviously beautiful opportunities for people to be outside, do a lot of activities on the water and that sort of thing. And I think that's the big draw here, along with history. Places like Beaufort and Savannah and Charleston are very historical and draw people's interest to this area. And I think they discover the natural side of it when they get here. So that's a very appealing aspect of it.
And geographically speaking, very close to those places that you mentioned, where if you're here, you can shoot out to Charleston or Beaufort or Hilton Head, Bluffton in a short time. So
that's right. That's right. That's been very appealing to folks.
It is. It's really unique. One of the last authentic areas, I think, in the country. Now, here at Spring Island, every home's different, and I love that about it. Every home starts with the architect, which is basically the dreamer and the person that interprets the site. Can you speak a little bit about what you like about our design guidelines here, how you go about walking onto a site? I mean, how do you come up with, that's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, I think part of our responsibility is the owners come from all over the country quite often, some from the area, but from all over the country. And I think it's a little bit of our responsibility to act as kind of interpreters or curators for what this place is about, what kind of opportunities are here. And when it gets down to the specific piece of property that they purchased, we really want to have a very deep understanding of that place. Something about it appealed to them in the first place to get them to decide to move here and become part of this community. And I think it's really important that we go on a piece of property and really look at every aspect of it. What are the trees? What is the understory like? What are the plant communities? We often see unique animal opportunities here. There are eagle nests on some sites and that sort of thing. Those are all unique to here specifically because of the nature-basedness of Spring Island and the way they take care of things. So it's really important that we have a deep understanding of that really before we start drawing anything. And that's where we start. That coupled with whatever their unique interests are, what they're bringing to the table, what kind of needs they have, those two things married together are what we hope make a really unique solution for that specific person and that specific site.
Well, I love the fact that all our home sites are large and they have nature curtains around them. Mm-hmm. So, you have total privacy within these home sites, and you have a lot of latitude as to what you can build, how you can build it, whether it's in stages or whatever. And it would seem to me, if I were an architect, it would be kind of a dream scenario to come down here and have such a big, loose palette, I guess.
it is specific to Spring Island. There are only a few opportunities around where there is not, let's say, a kind of a dogma of what you have to do, and the privacy from site to site does really allow for a lot of creativity. There's some people that are going to specifically want a kind of a low country type of architecture, and then there's some people that are going to want to explore a little further and think about maybe the connection more specifically to here, and maybe more contemporary in that respect. So I think that latitude about Spring Island specifically is something that's very appealing, because it really allows everybody to essentially express themselves the way they want, and that's positive.
Well, and that privacy element that you're talking about, when I was driving out here, I was so impressed with, you don't feel like you're driving into a neighborhood. You feel like you're driving into an environment that happens to have some homes there.
That's right.
And it was really amazing. I would love it, and I'm sure these people would as well, because it's so difficult to capture the feeling out here in this little box we're sitting in. Tell us a little bit about some of the homes. Do you have some examples?
I do. We brought two examples. One is kind of a small, I guess it would be described as kind of a jewel box, if it can be.
I'm laughing at this because Jewel Box is 3,200 square feet, just to put a perspective on what we're talking about here.
It's a jewel box.
It's
In comparison to the rest of the place.
It's a mid-sized jewel box. So one of the projects, the Serafini House, is one of the Tabby Links cottages, and that development was built around some ponds that we actually worked with Robert Marvin to create, to set up some small settings for houses, and they're a very constricted footprint. You have to build within a small rectangle, but they're on a beautiful, the 18th fairway and the marshes of the river out here, and then these landscape ponds. And so that house, I always describe to people like a Rubik's Cube, and that's a really interesting experience. The other house that we put up was the Chaffin's River Camp. The Chaffins were, part and parcel of creating this place, and they had held back a large kind of piece of property, and they have more of a sprawling kind of house that's kind of like a compound, like a nature compound, but everything that was there to begin with is still there. So it was built like in a park, essentially.
We're going to take a quick break, so stay right here. We'll be back with more 843 TV.